minus the x-coordinate at red, 1.6. The denominator, delta x, looks pretty easy to simplify. 1.6 plus h minus 1.6 is simply h. This makes sense. We chose h over here to be delta x. So to find delta y over delta x, we'll need to expand this expression by taking our function f of x and rewriting it, substituting 1.6 plus h in for x. This is just algebra, so I'm showing it quickly. Pause if you want to step through the details. We end up with this expression for the y value of the nearby green point. So we can now find delta y over delta x. 0.36 plus 1.2h plus h squared minus 0.36 all over h. The plus 0.36 and minus 0.36 cancel, leaving us with 1.2h plus h squared over h. As long as h is not 0, which it's not, it's some tiny change, but not 0, then we can cancel an h from each term. And the slope delta y over delta x is 1.2 plus h. Let's remember that we said h was an arbitrarily small number. We're going to find the limit of delta y over delta x as h approaches 0. You may be familiar with the concept of the limit from studying discontinuous functions in algebra. We write the limit like this, LIM, and underneath a variable, right arrow, and a lower value. We read this as the limit as h approaches 0. In our case, the limit of 1.2 plus h as h approaches 0. As h gets closer and closer to 0, the expression 1.2 plus h gets closer and closer to 1.2. So the limit is 1.2, and that's delta y over delta x, the slope at the red point, or at least the slope as delta x, we called it h, approaches 0. And now we can continue our dialogue. What's the slope? Where do you mean? At x equals 1.6. The slope there is 1.2 that we found by taking the slope between two very close points at the limit as the difference between their x-coordinates approach 0. I want to review this equation again, which is how we estimate the slope of a function at a point using algebra. You'll see this important expression in the first chapter of every
Computer intelligence is more important.
We're going to use it several more times, and I want to make sure you're comfortable with it. It's the algebra behind estimating the slope at the red point as the slope between the red point and the nearby green point, delta y over delta x. The difference between the y-coordinates is delta y, the numerator of our slope estimate. The difference between the x-coordinates is delta x, the denominator of our slope estimate. We can with expression these differences. The x-coordinate of the red point